Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle, this middle section really looking at what is the purpose for this connection, and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, which we'll jump into in just a second. And then for this round of readings, I've also added an overall theme of this reading that we'll be going over. I will be using a different tarot deck for each side of this connection that I already have shuffled, and then I have the advice card that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can absolutely be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point of these readings is to take what helps and leave and discard what does not. All right, Gemini, on your side of this connection, you have second option with the Four of Cups in reverse. I feel as if this person made you feel like an option. I feel as if they didn't or don't, again, take it as it resonates, whether it's present or past tense. Sometimes, a lot of times in these readings, I'll pull past energies, like past connections, because remember, my intention for the reading is who you need to learn the most from right now, which might not be the people that are currently in your life, but can be past connections. Anyway, take it as it resonates. So I feel as if this person made you feel like a second option, or maybe not even second, maybe third, fourth, fifth, whatever the case is. However, with the Four of Cups in reverse, there's more to that than you think, because oftentimes when people make us feel like an option or make us feel replaceable, or don't fully see our worth or our value and don't show up for us in the way that we deserve, we can often take it very personally, and we can feel as if it's something that has to do with us, us not being good enough, us not being lovable, whatever the case might be, when it's actually very rarely has anything to do with us, and for the most part, I would say in pretty much every situation, has to do with the other person. Other people's actions or inactions toward us has way more to do with them than it does with us. Now, this person, they do have inconsistencies with the Ace of Wands in reverse. So I feel like they were very inconsistent in the way that they acted in this connection, especially with the Ace of Wands in reverse being here. So to me, it feels like they gave a lot of empty promises that were never fulfilled. Maybe told you a lot of things that you wanted to hear, or spoke about this connection in a certain way, but then their actions and their behavior never really aligned with what it is that they said, like they felt about the connection. Or with the inconsistencies aspect, maybe sometimes they did really show up for you, and then other times they really didn't. And again, that kind of energy can be very confusing, because we can feel as if it's something that we're doing when oftentimes it really doesn't have anything to do with us at all. Now, in between this connection, you both have triggers with the Seven of Cups. So this connection was very triggering for both people. It was very, very difficult for both people to, I feel like, understand what was really going on. Because with the Seven of Cups, that could be an energy of being very confused, being very unsure about maybe even how you feel or what direction to go. And especially if you're dealing with someone that's saying a lot of things, like saying all the right things, but then not acting on those things, that can be very difficult in terms of knowing what it is to do. Because do you hold out hope for the things that they're saying, or, do you take their behavior at face value? So there's this need here to kind of see that there's more going on here than meets the eye, especially with this triggers card. Now, the overall theme for the reading is karmic path. So there is a karmic aspect to this connection. I'm not saying it is a karmic connection. It very well could have been or could be. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with that definition, karmic connections are those people that come into our life to teach us lessons. They are not meant to stay. They are meant to teach us very valuable lessons about ourselves and about our relationships, so that we can attract better relationships for us. Now, it's up to us to actually decide to do the healing to learn from those relationships. Otherwise, we often repeat karmic cycles, whether it's in one certain relationship or in many different relationships. Meaning, if you tend to be the person that maybe often tracks emotionally unavailable people over and over again, there's a lesson there. But let's go ahead and dive in, Gemini. Starting with your side of this connection, you have second option with the Four of Cups in reverse. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection. All right, this is for Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection, please. All right. Right off the bat, death with the King of Wands. Could be dealing with fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You absolutely do not have to be. But I do feel like this connection has ended. There's an ending. This connection has ended, or a cycle within this connection needs to end. It could be one or the other. So again, take it as it resonates. And I feel like what you're left with now in this connection is feeling as if whatever took place here was very unfair. I feel like you feel like you didn't get your justice in this, even if it's like a connection that you don't want in your life anymore, like you don't want to be with them or you don't want to associate with them anymore. Like there's still this feeling of like, man, that really sucked, and I don't see how that's fair, that things can kind of end up like that, because you do have this justice card here. But again, I feel like there's more going on here than you think. So let's see. Let's get more, because I'm not going to say that. All right. This is Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with, please. Could also be dealing with an earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, with the King of Pentacles. You don't have to be. Again, I just like reading them as I see them. Okay. So here's the thing, Gemini. I feel like you have a lot of love to give. I feel like you have a very open heart when it comes to love. Now, I feel as if you feel that your open heart that you have when it comes to love never really meets the opportunity of being able to give and receive that love in the way that you desire. Now, the reason that I feel like this is coming through on your side of this connection is because I feel as if this connection was a major lesson for you to be able to have the love that it is that you need and desire and deserve, ultimately. And I feel like your biggest frustration stems from the fact that in your connections, and in this connection in particular, I feel like you have very good intentions. And I feel like you do want the very best for this person, or at least at one point you did. And I feel as if that is just not met with that same energy. Like no matter how much you put forth emotional availability in this connection, I feel like it's like you give out emotional availability and commitment and honesty and emotional connection, and then you are met back with like maybe sometimes some of that, but certainly not consistently, and certainly not to the extent that you are giving, whatever whatever resonates the most for you. This is for Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with, please. Page of Wands in reverse with the Eight of Cups. There's the Hierophant in reverse, but that's separate. There's the Queen of Wands. Okay. This connection made it really difficult for you to walk away and leave it behind. Or it like, even if you're like, yeah, I'm not getting what it is that I deserve, I'm not getting what it is that I need, it's like, it's almost like it's really difficult for you to choose yourself here. Maybe in past relationships, it was easy because the connection was different, or, I mean, to be honest, the trauma being triggered was different, which can create a different kind of attachment. You know, there's so many different reasons why connections can feel different, even when they're not good for us. And so I feel like, especially if you're dealing with a karmic cycle, those are like the hardest freaking kind of connections to break away from. And so what I feel like is that you feel like an option. You don't feel like you're getting what you deserve out of this. You know you deserve more. I feel like that's the other thing. I feel like you know that you're deserving of more. But yet it is, or was, very, very difficult for you to walk away from it. And there's a reason for that. I don't know what that reason is yet, but I feel like it has to do with this Page of Wands in reverse. Because yeah, there's something, a perspective shift that's needed, a lesson that needs to be learned here. Maybe you're one of those people that's like really, really tired of coming across readings regarding an ex. You're like, man, I'm over that. Like, but you know, somehow it feels like the universe or spirit keeps bringing you back to messages about this person, or you keep seeing signs about this person, or whatever the case is. It's because there's something that needs to be brought to light regarding yourself, not necessarily the connection as a whole, but regarding something that needs to be learned, so that you can close the door on the cycle. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection, please. There it is. You could be dealing with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. No, but the pain and the disappointment. I mean, there's a Three of Swords, Five of Cups, Three of Wands in reverse. That you did or are experiencing or are experiencing in this connection is very within your comfort zone when it comes to love in your life. Now, whether this is talking about romantic connections, platonic connections, familial connections, whatever the case is, I feel, I don't want to be too dramatic about this, but like, I do feel as if you're pretty used to people letting you down. So when someone creates this idea of promise for you, especially when you see a lot of potential in the person or in the connection, it can trigger that part of your brain that's used to being disappointed and hoping that things will be different. Now, oftentimes, and one of the things I will probably mention in every single reading I ever do, because it seems like I do, is that 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions, we have to remember 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious, meaning most of how we interact with our reality, the responses that we have, the decisions we make, the things we say, and the way that we move in our reality stems from our subconscious. Only 5% of how we interact with our reality is conscious. So if 95% of you is really used to getting disappointed and hurt when it comes to your relationships, especially if we're talking romantic, you might not be aware of it, but oftentimes what you'll actually do is you'll seek out those cycles in people that on a subconscious level, you know they're going to disappoint you. And when you get stuck in a cycle with one person, meaning what I call the hope disappointment cycle, you have a lot of hope that they're going to change. You get disappointed when they don't. They tell you something or do something to give you hope that things will be different, and then they never change, and you're back to that disappointment, that heartache. And it's literally this like never ending loop. And that cycle is really difficult to break when you see a lot of potential in somebody or in a connection. And I feel like that cycle, whether it's just in this connection or in other connections that you've experienced in your life, is one that it's one that you've been stuck in for a while. And so what I'm getting at with all of this is this connection was like the almost like perfect display of that cycle of being disappointed and hurt by someone who either you thought or was supposed to love you. And so that cycle being very comfortable for you. Now that's kind of the tricky thing about the ego, is our ego really likes predictability. It likes knowing exactly how things are going to feel, exactly what things are going to look like. It likes to know the outcome. So even if the outcome is painful and you're used, and that disappointment is, something that you don't want, obviously, your ego does want it because it's predictable and it's comfortable, because your ego knows it can survive it. Your ego knows that it can get through it. So it's okay with that kind of disappointment and pain because it knows, well, I've been here before. I know that I can get through this. And we have to be able to become aware of those cycles and those patterns, both in our current relationships and our past relationships, and so on and so forth, so that we can not allow those cycles to unconsciously control us and our relationships, which is, I'm gonna be honest with you here, Gemini, a lot of what happened in this connection. Is happening in this connection. Gemini side of this connection. Now, it's not your fault. Our cycles and our trauma and the things that we've been through, it's not our fault. It is, however, our responsibility to become aware of and to break those cycles. 9 of Swords with a 10 of Wands. Oof, okay, 8 of Swords. This connection is very burdensome for you. I feel like it went from being one that was very hopeful and positive and optimistic and had a lot of potential and things like that, to one that just kind of sucked, to be honest. Like with the 9 of Swords, made you feel more anxious and more insecurity than it did peace and security. Now, connections can't be the source of our peace, and they certainly can't be the source of our security, but they're also not supposed to take away from our peace and our security. When we're in alignment with the connections that are truly meant for us, they add to that peace and that security that you already have within. Now, when we lack that peace and that security and that love for ourselves within, we'll often look for it outside of ourselves. And when we're looking for it outside of ourselves, we'll most likely look for it in the wrong places. And that's why I feel like this connection as a whole is so deeply triggering for you, is because there's more going on here than what's on the surface. This isn't just about what's going on in this connection. This is about why this is happening, where the cycle stems from, and how you cannot feel this way anymore. Because being in connections that make you feel like being in connections with inconsistent people, I believe, having experienced it, is one of the most painful kinds of connections to exist. Because that hope disappointment cycle is freaking real. And when you're dealing with someone inconsistent, it's probably not someone doing it to you on purpose. It's probably someone not knowing how to commit, not knowing what they want, not knowing how to love themselves, and therefore not knowing how to love you, and you bear the burden of that. But when you see that hope and you see that potential in somebody and in the connection, and you cling to that so tightly, and that gets taken from you literally over and over and over again when you're in that cycle, that is literally like, it's torture. It's awful. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. And after a long time of being in that cycle with somebody, it can really, really start to affect you on a mental health level, on a physical health level, and like not even just like self-esteem level, like on your sense of self. And so I feel like in this connection, things are affecting you on a level so much deeper than just the surface, because there's a lot more going on here than just the surface. Gemini's energy toward this person. Gemini's energy toward the person they are dealing with. Gemini's energy toward this person. All you wanted in this connection is for your effort to be reciprocated. I feel like that's all you desired here. And that's, again, it goes back to like you had this emotional availability to give, you were willing to give it, but it almost feels like whatever energy you were giving it to, okay. Sometimes when we have a lot of love to give, but we don't believe we're deserving of love, we will often give love to people that we know, again, on a subconscious level, can't reciprocate that love. Because again, our ego likes to be right. It likes to know how things are going to go. And if you're not deserving of love and you get into a situation with someone who doesn't make you feel deserving of love, your ego can go, see, I told you, you're not lovable. Stay in your comfort zone of being in relationships where you are not lovable. And that, I feel like, was a really big aspect of what went on here. Because you have the Ace of Wands upright. So you obviously, you invested in this to the best of your ability. But they have the Ace of Wands in reverse. That was not, you were not met with the same level. Now, I'm not saying this person gave you nothing. I feel like they gave you like very bare minimum. And because of that hope that you had for the connection, you were like, I'll take what I can get. And you took what you could get until you, well, couldn't take it anymore. Or are getting to that point where you can't take it anymore. Because remember, this is either a connection that has ended, or there's a cycle within this connection that needs to. All right, let's see what this person is dealing with. Inconsistencies with the Ace of Wands in reverse. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. One more. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Inconsistencies with the Ace of Wands in reverse. Ooh. Five of Pentacles with the World. I feel like you stopped chasing this, Gemini. At least not to the extent that you once were. And this person feels that. They feel the loss of that energy of you chasing. Now, they're kind of dealing with their own cycle too. Because this is a karmic situation for both people here. Because I kind of feel like you were the one who walked away. Either way, it didn't feel like your choice. Either this person walked away or you felt like you didn't have a choice and you chose to walk away. Or that's where you're at now. Again, take it as it resonates. But I feel like they feel like they feel the loss of you not chasing this anymore. But I feel like it's because your freaking well ran dry. get more. This person's energy toward, this person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. Maybe. Ooh. Four of Cups in reverse, which matches your Four of Cups in reverse. The Fool in aha. Eight of Cups in reverse. This person is dealing or was dealing with a lot more than you are aware of. Either on a mental health level or like they were hiding certain things from you or something. So their wishy-washy energy here, there's a reason for it. That's what this is saying. That's why, because you have the second option with the Four of Cups in reverse, and I said when I read that message, I was like, there's more to that though. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this message here. There's more to that. Their wishy-washy, inconsistent energy, there's a reason behind it. Person's energy toward Gemini, please. One more. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Queen of Wands. King of Cups in reverse. So there's that fire sign energy again, but I don't like this energy. This is emotional abuse, emotional manipulation kind of energy. Their actions toward you are not good. Not all the time, but certainly majority of the time. But what is this? I want more on this. Clarifying this King of Cups in reverse to Queen of Wands. Clarifying this message. Because remember, this connection was triggering for them too. I feel like it triggered their insecurities. Man! I mean, yeah, this King of Swords in reverse energy is like, I mean, you got emotional manipulation and abuse and mental manipulation and abuse. Like, this is not cool. But why? I want to know where that stemmed from. It's almost to me like, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to stand up for this person for a second. But bear with me. Not stand up for it, but I don't think they meant this. I don't think they meant this energy. I feel like this was or is a protection mechanism for this person. And I feel like the reason this kind of energy came out is because of their own insecurities that was brought on by this connection. You know, when someone comes to you, nothing but unconditional love to give you, but you don't love yourself, that's going to be freaking triggering, because you're gonna, I mean, the first thing you're gonna try and do is sabotage that. And I feel like that's what this person would. Like, it's like you came to this connection with nothing but good intentions and love for this person, and they were like, whoa, no thank you. I don't know how to handle that. And then, like, did whatever they could to mess it up. Now, of course, this isn't happening consciously, right? This person isn't consciously saying, I'm going to hurt Gemini because I don't know how to accept love. I don't think this person has that kind of self-awareness, but I do think that there's more of a reason behind their behavior than just the fact that they mistreated you. I'm not justifying it. That's not a justification of their behavior. But when we can understand why someone treated us the way that they did, it can give us more insight on the fact that, and again, it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, had very little to do with us, right? It has very little to do with you, and more about what's going on in their life that creates that kind of behavior. All right, this person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. Ace of Wands in reverse with the Hierophant in reverse. This inconsistent, emotionally manipulative behavior is a cycle for them. This isn't, I don't think that you're the first person that has had to deal with the treatment of this person. Now, usually, again, I want to speak on behalf of this person too. Usually people who act like that in love, that's what they're used to experiencing themselves. Because remember, I do still think that this behavior is less of an intention and more of a protection mechanism. Because this connection, I feel like, was just as much a lesson for them, or is just as much of a lesson for them as it is for you. Now, the difference is every single karmic connection that we experience is going to be a lesson for both people. But it goes back to what I said at the very beginning. Whether or not we actually learn from those experiences and change our behavior moving forward, I mean, it depends on the person. And I don't necessarily know if they're doing that. That's not coming through. It just kind of is saying, like, this is a lesson for them and they've struggled with this in the past. This person's energy toward Gemini. Knight of Cups, Sun in reverse. It's not that they didn't or don't have feelings for you. It's not that there's not love here. It's that their ego won. Their ego is winning this battle with the Sun in reverse, because again, our ego is our built-in protection mechanism. It's there to protect us from danger. Talk about evolution and things like that. But what it can also do is protect us from what's good for us, but feels very scared. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is, like, if you think of a stray dog that's been rescued, take this dog home and you are there to feed it, take care of it, nurse it back to health, but every time you go near it, it tries to snip at you, tries to bite you, because this dog doesn't understand love. It's been in survival mode. It's been so used to being having to protect itself that it doesn't know how to accept love. It doesn't know. Now, the difference between a dog and this person is that typically a dog over time, because it needs you to survive whenever you rescue it, will eventually learn that you're there for good and not bad. But when you're dealing with like a human being and the situation's a bit more complicated, they've got more of a psyche that you kind of have to, that you're dealing with. And so I feel like that's kind of what this person, it's not that they didn't have feelings for you, it's that those feelings that they had for you were actually very triggering, because they're like, what is this? I've never experienced love. I don't know what to do. Let me sabotage this and push this away. This person's energy toward Gemini. So basically what I'm getting at is this person has a lot of healing to do. Just typically the case in karmic connections. But I'm going to be honest with you, Gemini. I feel like you do too. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's very, very unstable right now. I don't feel like they're in a good place in their life. And that's what I feel like is like typically someone who's very inconsistent in their own world is dealing with, or in their relationships, or, is acting very inconsistent, is dealing with inconsistencies themselves. Again, we tend to, unless we develop the self-awareness and the ability to heal from our experiences, we tend to become what it is that we are experiencing, which is dangerous if we allow our subconscious to control us, because hurt people, and so on and so forth. All right, Gemini, freaking long reading. We're going to hop on over to the extended. You have triggers of the Seven of Cups. I'm going to pull 9 different messages, and I have an advice card to pull for you at the very end. Again, this middle section, what is the deeper purpose of this connection, and what is the best way to move forward in order to align further with your higher self? As always, Gemini, thank you so much for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Gemini, I wish you absolutely nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.